Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We have got some absolutely massive news to break down today regarding the WNBA, and honestly, the way this is shaping up, the 2026 season is looking like it might just be the most dramatic and high-stakes year we have ever seen in women's basketball. The league finally dropped the official schedule this week, and while we have all been waiting to see where the new expansion teams fit in, the real story here is exactly what you might expect. It is the undeniable, overpowering influence of Caitlin Clark. We're going to dive deep into the schedule, the huge return of a college rivalry, and some very telling comments from the new head coach of the Toronto Tempo that prove Caitlin Clark is literally the center of the basketball universe right now. Let's get right into the thick of it. The WNBA is in a really interesting place right now. We know there's been a lot of tension behind the scenes with the collective bargaining negotiations and the Players Association, but the release of the 2026 schedule has finally shifted the conversation back to where it belongs, which is on the hardwood. The headline this year should probably be the expansion to 16 teams, welcoming the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo into the fold. That is a historic moment for the growth of the game. But even with new franchises and new markets opening up, the conversation just keeps circling back to one person. It doesn't matter how many teams you add, the gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark is still the organizing force of the entire league. We saw this reality confirmed in a major way by Sandy Brondello. Now, for those of you tracking the coaching carousel, Brondello is the newly appointed head coach for the expansion Toronto Tempo. She was recently asked by the media which games she had circled on her calendar for this inaugural season. Now, usually coaches give pretty standard, diplomatic answers to these kinds of questions, but Brondello gave us a really fascinating look into the mindset of the league right now. Her first two answers were deeply personal and made a lot of sense. She mentioned Phoenix as her #1 choice, which is obvious because she coached there and won a championship during her 8-year tenure. Going back to a place where you raised a banner is always going to be emotional and fun. Her second choice was New York, where she most recently led the Liberty. She talked about wanting to see the fans again and how great that arena is to play in. That is all standard stuff, respecting your past and enjoying great basketball environments. But it was her third answer that really made headlines and served as a blunt reality check for every other player and executive in the WNBA. She explicitly named Indiana as her third game she is most excited about, and she didn't mince words about why. She said, and I'm paraphrasing the sentiment here, that she has Indiana on the list because everyone loves to play against Caitlin Clark. She acknowledged the massive following the Fever have and how much fun it is for her players to go into that extremely loud, hostile arena. This is such a crucial moment of honesty because it captures the current ecosystem of the WNBA perfectly. Caitlin Clark isn't just a star attraction for the fans buying tickets. She has become the ultimate measuring stick for the opponents. She is the game that players circle on the calendar. She creates the environment that coaches actively want their teams to experience. When a coach of a brand new expansion team says they want to go to Indiana just to feel that energy, it tells you that the Fever have become the epicenter of the league's culture. For a team like the Toronto Tempo trying to establish their own identity, getting exposure against the league's biggest draw is actually part of their growth plan. Looking at the specifics of the schedule for Toronto, they have a really tough but exciting run. They have that road date against Indiana set for June 16. That comes after they visit Phoenix on May 19 and New York on June 3rd. So the Tempo are going to be battle-tested early, hitting all the emotional high notes for their coach right out of the gate. But make no mistake, that mid-June game against the Fever is going to be the one where the media attention is at its absolute peak. It is fascinating to see how the league is using Clark to help legitimize and boost these new franchises immediately. However, while Brondello's comments really underscore Clark's league-wide influence, the league office knows exactly what the fans want, and they are not making us wait for it. The most anticipated game of the 2026 season is arriving immediately. I am talking about opening weekend. On Saturday, May 9th, the Indiana Fever are going to host the Dallas Wings in the season opener. If you're a basketball fan, you know exactly what this means. It's the matchup we have all been waiting to see reignited at the pro level. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. This is the definition of a must-see event. The tip-off is set for 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Gainbridge Halfers, and the stakes for this game extend so far beyond just the opening night energy. We have to remember the context of last season. Caitlin Clark was limited to just 13 games due to that lingering groin injury. For a lot of fans, that was a massive disappointment, and it felt like we were robbed of a full year of her brilliance. So this game on May 9th isn't just a season opener, it's her true return moment. It's the "I'm back" statement game, and to have it happen against Paige Bueckers, that is script writing at its finest. This rivalry goes back deep into their NCAA battles. It's the storyline that has consistently driven conversation and viewership for years. We all remember how last season's opener featuring Clark against Angel Reese absolutely shattered expectations for WNBA ratings. It was a cultural moment. The league executives are clearly betting the house that history is going to repeat itself, with Clark and Bueckers now taking center stage. They are putting the two most marketable, high-profile guards in the world on the court together for the very first game of the season. That is not an accident. That is a calculated move.
There's also a lot of historical intrigue to this specific matchup. This game marks the first time since 2016 that Indiana and Dallas are meeting on opening night. But even more striking is the sheer amount of talent that is going to be on the floor. We are expecting this matchup to feature 4 consecutive #1 overall picks. You have Aaliyah Boston from the 2023 draft, Caitlin Clark from 2024, Paige Bueckers from 2025, and Dallas is projected to have the top pick for 2026 as well. Think about that for a second. 4 straight years of the supposed best player in the draft all sharing the court at the same time. That level of star power is absolutely ridiculous. It is a strategic showcase for a league that is looking to capitalize on its momentum, its youth, and its marketability. We are seeing a shift from the old guard to this new, hyper-popular generation of stars, and the WNBA is putting them front and center immediately. It is a message to the world that the talent pool is deeper and better than it has ever been. When you look at the big picture of this schedule release, the message is crystal clear. The expansion to Portland and Toronto is fantastic. It is broadening the WNBA's map and bringing the game to new audiences in Canada and the Pacific Northwest. That is vital for the long-term health of the league. But make no mistake, Caitlin Clark remains at the center of the orbit. She is the sun that the rest of the league revolves around. Coaches like Sandy Brondello know it, and they are admitting it publicly. They want their teams to play in that atmosphere because it prepares them for high-pressure situations. The players feel it because they know the eyes of the world are on them when they step onto the court in Indianapolis. And now, the schedule itself reflects it perfectly. By putting Clark versus Bueckers on day 1 and by highlighting the Fever's matchups against the new expansion teams, the league is leaning all the way into the Clark effect. It is going to be incredibly interesting to see how the Toronto Tempo handles that pressure on June 16th. For a new team, walking into Gainbridge Fieldhouse is going to be a welcome to the WNBA moment like no other. Sandy Brondello clearly thinks it will be fun, but it will also be the ultimate test of composure for a roster that is just learning how to play together. And for Clark, coming off that injury-shortened season, the pressure is going to be immense to prove she hasn't lost a step. The narrative going into May 9th is going to be deafening. Can Clark reclaim her throne after the injury? Can Paige Bueckers spoil the homecoming? Can the Dallas Wings' young core compete with the established chemistry of Boston and Clark? These are the questions that are going to drive the entire news cycle for the next few months. The WNBA has set the table perfectly. Now, the players just have to go out there and deliver the feast. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you make of Sandy Brondello's comments? Is it surprising to hear a rival coach openly admit that they are excited to play Indiana because of the Caitlin Clark factor? And who do you have winning that massive season opener between the Fever and the Wings? Is it going to be Clark's triumphant return, or is Paige Bueckers going to steal the show? Let me know your thoughts down below. We are going to be covering every single angle of this season as we get closer to tip-off, so make sure you are subscribed. This is going to be a historic year for the WNBA, and you do not want to miss a second of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.